What do you think?
I think we're dead meat. Real dead meat.
You're dead meat! Go ahead and laugh, you guys. If I ever find a little bastards that did this, they're dead meat.
Welcome to the Dead Meat Podcast, an extension of the YouTube channel Dead Meat. I'm James.
I'm Chelsea, and we're engaged, and we like to get scared together.
How many days?
Until
the big day?
175.
Yes.
All right.
Nice.
That's great.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
gonna put that on my phone so that I can
Yeah.
send you guys something.
you get a message in almost a year, like an alert,
Like,
and you're like, what the?
We'll send you like a
Lord.
finger, a severed finger for your.
Yes, we're here today with Radio Silence, the filmmaking collective, as it's known. You guys want to introduce yourselves, full names?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Chad.
I'm Chad Valella.
I'm Matt Bettinelli-Alpin.
And I'm Tyler Gillette.
Great, thanks guys. And they are the creators, most recently, of Ready or Not, which I said before I knew they were coming on the podcast was maybe my favorite horror movie of last year.
No money has exchanged hands.
Yeah,
in this.
No, like,
This is the dead zone for the camera.
yeah, we reviewed Ready or Not on the podcast, like,
Right when it came out.
right? Yeah, so I'll put a link to that in the description if you want to listen to it.
And you said that you saw that podcast episode?
Yeah.
That's
Matt?
so crazy to me.
We listened to stuff.
Oh my gosh.
But your guys was so kind. And it also, we had a lot of people reaching out and being like, hey, that's where I heard about it.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Oh, that makes me so happy.
That is like the thing that I love most about what we do is when I hear from the people who actually make stuff, because I always have like a little bit of a self-conscious thing of like, I'm just taking other stuff. But when people who actually make these movies are like, hey, we have a lot of new fans who said they found us because of you.
Yeah.
You guys also started doing stuff on YouTube, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're fellow YouTube people.
Definitely. Yeah. We owe it all to YouTube, really, in a big way, because we started there in like 2007.
Yes,
So
July
around-
of 2007.
Was that
its first
before
video.
Google bought YouTube?
Yeah,
like
this
when it was its own
early.
thing.
I don't even. When did YouTube like officially
2005.
Five
as a
was when it was
platform?
launched.
Yeah. So very early days.
Yeah, and it was like we just started making like we were all going down the path of like the more traditional way of making stuff, and then kind of had the epiphany, fuck that, let's go make our own stuff, and now there's this great outlet for it. Because previously, and we were kind of talking about this before, there are those little sites that were kind of niche, and then YouTube was the first one that felt like you can put it out there and anybody can
mainstream.
watch
Right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of our first videos went like it popped off on MySpace first.
Oh, that's right.
Like we put it on MySpace, and
Like
it was on the
bulletin
front page
posts
of-
and stuff? Yeah.
And I remember one weekend we were like, "Oh, cool, we have like 48 views. That's great." And then on a Saturday morning, Rob, who used to work with us, Rob Plonsky, he started calling, and we had 4 missed calls from him like by 10 a.m. He's like, we're at 15,000 views, we're at 65,000 views, and on MySpace, and it got to the front page of MySpace, and then from there we were on YouTube.
I had genuinely forgot that.
Yeah.
I love that you remember that.
Oh,
though,
yeah.
because I remember the day that like a Dead Meat video like spiked
Yeah.
beyond what
Yeah.
I had expected, and it's just like, oh, this is a
It's
cool
crazy.
feeling.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
It's a very interesting feeling.
Did
yeah.
were you able to decode what it was that made it spike, or is it just this sort of? It's like, I mean, it's quality obviously, and like specificity of voice, but is there something that you think kind of cut through?
It was
specifically with
it was
that?
pretty serendipitous that I chose Friday the 13th as my first series to cover right as the game, like Friday the 13th, the game came out, which I didn't even know about. But apparently it had just come out. People were looking up clips from the movie because they were playing the game, and they found my videos. Wow. And then I'd like to think that the quality of them as practice from our other channel was like good enough to keep them in. And yeah, it was just like this spike. It was just like this snowballing effect with the algorithm and stuff. So
Yeah.
That's
it was
fantastic.
wild.
Yeah.
A lot of it
Great
is
timing.
such luck. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
'Cause,
you can
you know-
make something amazing, and we know plenty of people who do also make amazing horror content even. It's just
Yeah.
that algorithm just has to,
Just
pick
hit.
you
Well,
up
there's
one
this
day.
big
Yeah.
thing about like, especially in marketing conversations about, well, let's go make. We want you guys to go make something viral, like a viral. And it's like you don't make a
Can't
viral thing.
just-
That's the result of a thing that you make. It's not. You can't just like program it to be popular to us. And obviously, like you can buy ad space and get on the front page of different sites, but for the most part, like that's at least in our experience,
again, I
the
mean,
viral was only
yeah,
based
yeah.
on like the quality of the thing and ultimately like does it have
And it was
legs
also
and staying power.
that we got started on YouTube at like at a very lucky time. Like it was like YouTube was new So we made something that wasn't quite like everything else because it was a lot of like sketch comedy and stuff, and we weren't really doing that.
Yeah.
But it was like kind of that, but not really. And so
Easier
it
to
just,
stand out.
yeah, it was easier to stand out just by
Yeah.
being a little bit different. And I mean, so we got put on the front page, which is I think what spiked ours.
Right.
And it was like it wasn't you. It was before you even knew that you were kind of trying to do that. I don't know if everyone remembers, but it was like it used to just be YouTube was just a place to share shit.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I have to go
Yeah.
share.
It wasn't
and
a
hit
career
number
option.
and do-
Totally.
Totally.
Yeah, totally.
No.
And viral was not really a thing. Like it wasn't. That was
No.
not even really. A
I mean, Lazy
word
Sunday is
that-
the first thing I remember being
Yeah.
like.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
That went from a SNL clip to everybody saw it. the
Tens
next
of
day.
millions
Yeah,
of
everybody
views.
saw it
Yeah.
the next day.
Yeah. And viral, especially, even when that became slang and people understood what that meant, it was for a bit. It wasn't seen as like, oh, we can use this to market stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think at first it was understood as like a freak thing that happened, and just like if it happened, it happened. But I remember even in college, I would like try to write some stand up, and one of the bits was like how the word viral was the biggest benefactor of like new media, because it used to mean something very bad if you were viral, and now it's like I want to be viral. Did you guys go to film school? Like, do you have like formal education in filmmaking?
Versions, yeah.
As
Yeah.
formal as that can, I guess that can be.
You had a kind of formal.
Yeah, I went to the University of Arizona, and I studied photography first, and then that kind of became an interest in film
Like still
production.
photography
Yeah,
at
and
first?
then cinematography, and then eventually working. The cool thing about that program was we shot a lot of stuff. It was a very active make a thing a week kind of program.
Yeah.
So it was great. It was very creative. It was very all about the process.
Mine was the opposite.
It was more
I
like
went to
theory.
UC Santa Cruz, and it was all film theory, and not even like just kind of normal film theory. It was like art, like sub-level art film theory. You know,
Were there
just,
any production elements at all to your?
for like 10 people, you
Yeah.
know? And I mean, but the one benefit was you could rent equipment. So
Yeah.
we would rent equipment and just go shoot our own shit, not for class. Because again, this is like late 90s before it was just so easy to get shit.
Yeah.
And so we would do that. But as far as filmmaking goes, it was like you learn something you learn on like a YouTube tutorial in 3 minutes now.
Yeah. Right.
Well, and it doesn't sound like you were. There was not mainstream. You weren't studying mainstream.
No,
film
we
cinema. It
were
was
studying like
you're going to be an artist.
A shadow in the forest.
Yeah, my
Video for 12 hours,
Right.
and what does that mean? And as soon as somebody would be like, I like Indiana Jones, it's like, but have you ever been on that adventure? No, then you shouldn't write about that adventure.
Oh
And you're
God.
Oh, right. You're not making escapist.
Right.
Yeah, fiction. Yeah.
No, I didn't go to film school. I went to school for political science and
Oh, cool.
research and intelligence analysis. So I did, I did like stuff for the government, and then I did
Stuff for the government.
Yeah. Right. Oh shit.
and then I worked for
That
like
part gets
ExxonMobil, and then I quit that and just started.
Oh,
acting.
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
And I
wow.
was doing theater and commercials in Pittsburgh and decided to move out here.
Oh,
so I
that's
got
so
into the
cool,
acting
man.
part.
What were
And
your
then my
commercials in
first-
Pittsburgh?
I did one for Banowitz Jewelers where I got engaged.
Do you have copies of these?
I do somewhere. Yeah.
Find
How
those
have we not
places.
seen these?
And then I was the voiceover guy for King's Restaurants in the Pittsburgh
Do you
area.
remember the copy?
No, it's just like always come to King's Diner where you can, like that type of crap.
I just
And
got
then,
hungry.
are you hungry? You want some pancakes? Cool, let's go get some pancakes. Banowitz, and then I did a couple cable commercials for the predecessor of Comcast in the area.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so Cable One, I think it was called.
Wowza.
Yeah, and then just stopped that, moved to Los Angeles, and then the first day in LA, we went to an acting class at night, and I sat down next to Matt.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
so cool.
So that's kind of how we all got into working together too.
Yeah, then Matt and I
segue
worked
into
together
that.
in New Line.
Yeah.
We were both. That was like first jobs in LA.
Was it like PA kind of stuff, or?
No, I worked in post production. I was an archivist. I was barcoding
post-production.
all of the original materials.
That's
so like
so
the
cool.
original negative for Lord of the Rings, like all that shit, all the sound, all the mag stock, everything needs a
Okay.
barcode. It gets logged and put into the vault.
Oh
that was
yeah.
the only asset to New Line had, because they're not a studio.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Were these like actual physical productions.
Because I did a similar
Yeah.
job at Universal, like messing with like archives and I forget what the solid state drives or whatever that they put stuff on to really archive it and so it
Yeah.
would degrade. But yeah, we both come from a post production background, so Yeah,
No, it wasn't
we
great.
love-
It was like the basement in an office on San Vicente,
It was
which
the
is
first
where.
floor. It
Yeah,
was the first
Was
floor.
that amazing?
I was the mail guy. in that
Everything in that office felt
I
like
still
a basement.
remember who had what office where. Yeah.
They're just parking garages in the basements, right?
Yeah.
The parking garage,
which we
two
shot at,
parking garage
yeah.
in the basement.
Nice.
First
Yeah.
floor.
So yeah, when we were doing the YouTube videos, Matt was the office manager at New Line. So in order to get production value, we would just go into New Line on the weekends and shoot in the offices. And we're like, oh look, we have like a professional office.
Did they know about this, or was this all guerrilla?
So they didn't know about it, and then because we were at I started at the Robertson office, which was the main office from like if you watch like New Nightmare, it's where they go in New Nightmare.
Oh, cool. Oh,
Yeah.
what? Where Heather Langenkamp talks to
yeah, the Bob Shay.
Bob. Yeah, Shay.
exactly.
I was gonna ask.
Kids
So you were
love
doing the
horror.
shades. Yeah.
that was right before I started in 2000, and then moved to San Vicente, which was a few blocks away, which was kind of like the more production-y office.
Yeah.
It was, and that was only 3 floors, but
Less glamorous.
much less glamorous. But it was great because then I was the only HR person there, so I had like my own little office, and I kind of ran the building for like it's like that scene in Goodfellas where it's like, I'm the security, and so we would just go in, and then
They made a great hiring choice.
man, I was a good employee. I was there for a long time.
You were. How many? Like 8 years?
8 years, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was there until they fired everybody and moved
Holy
to Warner
shit.
Bros.
Shut the lights off. You
Yeah.
physically shut
I literally
the
was the
lights
last
off for
person in that office.
Wow.
But so there was one day we were shooting this short. I can't remember what it was for, but we had like a zombie scene in the
For
elevator.
MTV Movie Awards contest, and we were
Yes.
doing spoofs on movies. Yeah.
So we were doing a spoof on what?
28 Days Later.
Okay, yeah.
Chad's got the steel
Yeah.
trap
Yeah.
memory. Man.
And so we're shooting this thing. We have all this like Little Caesars pizza and spaghetti sauce and stuff. We're throwing it around.
Yeah, we use the cheese from the Little Caesars pizza as flesh when we're doing the zombie rips.
Great.
Yeah, because that's a nice, easy $5.
$5.
Yeah, $5
$5
Henry. Yeah.
$5 back panel.
That was our budget.
And also lunch.
Yeah, and also lunch. Yeah.
100% true. And so then we did it, and we cleaned up, it was like great, that was Sunday, and then I got in that next morning on Monday, and I'm taking around the trades because I deliver the trades every morning. I'm taking around the trades, and I'm on the second floor, and I walk in, and then the door's shut. They are covered in fucking spaghetti sauce
Oh my
and pizza innards.
Oh, you forgot to like.
So
we
forgot to
cleaned,
lock
the door was
'cause the
open.
door was open. I was like, oh, fuck, everyone's going to be here in 5 minutes.
Oh no.
And it was like all the executives, and I was like, oh no. So I ran around, cleaned it all really quick, and then like within a week or two, or maybe even a day later, I don't remember, I got a call from like the head of that building. He was like, hey, can you come up and talk to me?
This is an intimidating.
And he's an intimidating fellow.
This is
yeah.
not the
He
guy.
was-
Like if you get called into his office, it's like
It's the principal.
this
there
is
were 2
like-
co-presidents, and there was like the good cop, bad cop.
Okay.
And he was the one who, it
bad
was
cop.
getting called in the principal office. And I just remember going in there so nervous, thinking like, oh, I'm going to get fired. Fuck. And he just said, so there's people work here, they're filming here on the weekends. Did you know about it? And I was like, I did. It was me. And he literally just smiles and goes, oh, okay, great. So you're good. Well, good luck. And that was it.
I want to know how that conversation would have went had you been like, no, I don't. What would he have said?
Right. It'd probably
You
been, like,
threaded the
investigate it,
smallest
look at the
little
cameras,
needle. Yeah.
figure it out. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So yeah, we shot there for so long.
Right. We always trashed it too. We couldn't just do a normal office thing. There was always just like we made it turn into a post-apocalyptic scene once on the whole second floor and just trashed it. And there's like toilet paper hanging thing and the light panels hanging down. And we're like, oh, that was like a
man.
lot just to set up so we could walk through it and be like, oh man, today sucked.
production design.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like when you're like a young, amateur filmmaker, you gotta at least do one shoot where it's like, I may be gonna get in huge trouble. for
right,
doing
always.
this.
Totally.
Yeah.
That was
Always.
everything. All of our early shit.
Yes.
There was like the amount of naivete that we went
Yeah.
into the process with
Slash
is actually
stupidity.
why, but it's also how we kind of found our voice. Like you not playing by the rules and being like, yeah, we're gonna go shoot in an abandoned iron ore mine and there's no cell reception and no one really knows where we're going, but we're gonna do it and it's gonna be great. And what could possibly go wrong?
We had one that we were shooting. It was called Mountain Devil Prank Fails Horribly, and we were shooting in Big Bear. And like a lot of our stuff, there's a lot of screaming and yelling and help me, help me, help me. And we're in the middle of nowhere, and we've been shooting for hours. And then all of a sudden, this cop comes down on this like dirt road, and we're like, oh, well, that's the end of this shoot. Fuck, we didn't finish. And he just goes, hey, you guys, everything okay out here? And we're like, yeah. I heard got a lot of complaints about people screaming. And in all of our heads, because we talked about it after, we were like, wait, so he waited for 2 hours.
For people screaming bloody murder.
Yeah.
Bloody murder.
Yeah, this was not. There was no. You could not have misinterpreted this as a fun time. Like it was. There was somebody being killed in the forest.
And we just told him it was a student film, which it wasn't. I mean,
You always got to say student film.
Student
film,
for sure. That's a hint.
Truly. And he just gave us a thumbs up. I think he gave us his card, said like, send it to me when it's done.
we're done sending the link.
You guys need an extra?
Of course.
That's another pro tip. If you want to shoot something, you will get in the least trouble if you don't shoot in either LA or like New York City. Like you go somewhere where they don't make movies.
Where it's
and-
exciting.
Yes, and
because,
people get so pumped, and they
Yeah,
will
Michigan
give you
had
so
it.
much. Yeah, filming stuff back in Michigan was pretty nice.
Here
Yeah,
it's like
great.
Totally.
$10,000.
yeah, like we got
Yeah.
insurance for this.
Extort you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because we when we first started doing YouTube together, it was like sketch comedy, and that was 2013. Way too late to try to land or be noticed, especially with sketches. But we had come from Michigan. We met at University of Michigan, where we were in the film program. Also, pretty theory based.
Yes,
at the time,
I was
which sucked.
telling them that it's like there's so much theory.
Yeah, but we came out here and tried to make stuff and just kept running into barriers. I remember I wanted to use the Universal office that I worked at, but I made the mistake of asking if I could.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course,
Yeah.
got
Another
shut
tip:
down.
don't ask, just get caught and then say sorry.
If we let you, then we have to let everybody.
Exactly.
Right.
Type of
Yeah.
thing.
Do your sketch videos still exist on
So,
YouTube?
some of them do. Yeah, some were removed, but they're Practical Folks. It was our other channel. If you want to look it up and see
Absolutely.
Oh my
young
gosh.
us with hairstyles we hadn't figured out yet.
You both have wonderful hair now.
Yeah, great hair.
less skilled, very confident. Totally.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of things getting taken down, that Mountain Devil prank actually was pulled off of YouTube recently because of this prank policy. They've started
Oh, that's
removing
right,
pranks,
yeah.
and it's fully fictionalized. Like,
Yeah,
it
I was
is
gonna say.
ridiculous. It's
It's
there's
as
a
real as
monster.
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a made-up
But-
cryptid that comes flying into the screen.
But they,
That's like-
and you tried to arbitrate it, or you
Yeah,
responded.
they
and
sent an email saying your video's been taken down. You can arbitrate. So I sent an email that was maybe a little bit dickish. But and we were not granted.
Yeah.
No,
And
they
it's
never,
like-
they never grant it, man.
And it wasn't a small. I mean, there were I don't know, 10 million views on the video. It's
Yeah,
not. It
jeez.
wasn't.
Yeah, it was
small.
probably our second biggest
most.
video.
Some other sites have it up though too, so you could still
YouTube
Google
has
and
it up.
find
It's
it
all
on
over
YouTube. It
YouTube.
just was ours that was flagged
Oh,
for
I
some
gotta
reason.
find
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But it's funny because they it's
And that was the short that got us VHS.
Yep.
that is the short that got us VHS.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Oh,
How'd that
okay.
happen? So, who contacted you or
Well,
what do you say?
I sent an email to Brad Miska, who runs Bloody Disgusting, when we shot that short that has now been taken down, saying because I love the site, and it was like, hey, check out this video, just trying to get him to
You
put
sent
it
it
in.
from an
Posing as a
alien.
13-year-old
Yeah,
girl.
not
Yeah.
from me. I sent it from a fake account.
Really?
Yeah.
I
that's
love
great.
I was
love
Donald
it.
Trumping. And,
Pierre Delectre.
so I did hey, check it out. It's really cool. I found it on YouTube. And then Brad wrote back within 10 minutes, and he was like, oh, I fucking love this. How can you get in touch, or how do I get in touch with the people who made
He
it?
must
What
have
is it?
known, right? Like Brad must
Yeah, yeah.
have.
No. I mean, I wish I still had it. I don't think. Maybe if I forward it to you guys, it might be somewhere. But my memory is that he was like, how can I get in touch with whoever made this? And then me, instead of just being like, oh, I'll do it, I was like, I don't know, maybe just try checking out their.
You sent him on a scavenger.
Yeah, you
I sent him on a
made it
scam, make it
work.
hard.
Oh my god.
Anyways, long story short, he then called us right after that and was like, hey, I'm putting together this thing that became VHS. And he was like, if you guys want to do it, that'd be awesome. Can you come meet me? He actually lived right around here. And so we did. And
Oh, cool.
that was the beginning of VHS for us. Which
And was that 2010, 2011?
2011?
Yeah,
He
we
first
met him
reached
in
out-
2010, and then he wanted to do it as a TV series first.
Yeah, it was a minute.
So it took about a year for that to happen. And then they were went with
or to not happen.
or did not happen. And then Adam Wingard and Simon Barrett started putting together the wraparound for what became.
Yeah,
VHS.
they just went and shot their thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Early.
Before anyone else had
Yeah.
done,
Oh,
had done
really?
anything. It was as a sort of we can kind of proof of concept, sort
Great.
of proof this
Right.
idea, and it was cheap to go make it. And I think the collective or Brad had given them enough to go out and shoot their short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when they were wrapping it up, they needed one more segment, and Brad brought us into the mix. So
Very
we went,
late in the process.
Very late. So we went from pitch to final project in like 5 weeks.
Oh my God.
For our segment.
Naivete, guys.
Yeah.
The value of
Naivete and confidence.
Right, exactly. Just
Exactly.
go.
On that call, we sent them like 3 ideas, and they were like, "We really like this one," and we were like, "Great, that's the one we really like too."
Oh, that's always
And
good.
then it was wonderful. And then, but the first call we had after that with them, I just remember, I remember Brad and Roxanne Benjamin being like, "How are you guys gonna do it?"
There's a train
And
crash.
it's this naivete where
The
we were
train.
like, "Don't worry, we got it."
I
And
was
to their credit,
wondering how the train was
just a
done.
break.
Those are tracks, and there's an abandoned set of tracks near the San Pedro lofts,
Vernon.
downtown,
Yep.
in
Vernon,
the city of
yeah.
Vernon, like this weird sort of recycling center area. It's a very
Like
strange.
if
It's
you've watched
actually in a
True Detective
lot of
season 2, it's
yeah,
that
it's in a
kind of-
lot
okay.
of.
You're
City of
extra
Industry.
on
Yeah,
that.
I wasn't
exactly.
extra
And
on
it's
that.
and there are these abandoned tracks, and we parked our car on it, and then had a pickup truck with a 2K.
There's a 2K on a Tacoma.
Right, and with that little HD camera that we were shooting on in that low light, that thing just blew everything
Yeah, for
out. You saw
sure.
no detail
Yeah.
other than this crazy
I
bright light
figured, I
charging
thought
towards
it
the
must
car.
be. So we love Disneyland, and our favorite is Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I don't know if you've been
Yes.
on it,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
you get run
Demented.
over by
Yeah.
a train.
Yeah.
And I figured, I'm like, it must be that kind of.
We
a
stole
break.
from Mr. Toad.
Yes,
I knew it, man. I watched it. I was like, these guys ripped
They-
off
Mr.
Mr.
Toad,
Toad.
yeah.
Wild Ride
But it's
to
it's when you
Yeah.
you shine the lights like right in your eyes. You can't
Yeah.
see anything else. It's such a neat illusion. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd actually be a great franchise for Disney to like give life into in
Yes.
indoor space.
Mr. Toads?
Mr. Toad. Yeah.
No, if they would just let something be a horror movie, there
Exactly.
you go.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
the one.
It's actually shocking when you ride that ride.
Yeah.
You're like, this is next to Peter Pan
Right.
and Snow
Yeah.
White.
We're in hell
and-
right now.
Yeah.
Like the judge is
Yeah.
a devil.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Last time we went, it was really cold out, so we got to that hell part. It's nice and toasty
Oh, yeah.
there. I was like, I could
Yeah.
just hang out in here.
Dude, our friends rode that. Like, we ran over to do something else. Our friends who we took there rode it, and it broke down in the middle, and they got
to
get
walk
off
around
and walk
in it.
off.
Oh, that's rad.
They saw behind the fourth wall.
Yeah. Wait, what?
They saw behind. They got to see
Yeah.
the real deal.
Yeah.
They said it's I always like hold it against like a tiny bit. It just I
Yeah.
have this like it's so
Like-
unfair.
Those fuckers.
Man.
Yeah.
All those old storybook rides, though, it's funny. We talk about it like when we are Disney. We love fucking Disneyland. And
We did all of our early meetings at
Yeah,
Disneyland.
we
We
would
would go
That's
down
really
there and
rad.
go to the park and just talk about stories.
While we were waiting.
I
Is there a
love it.
specific part of the park that you would meet at, or
thing. But
Oh,
I mean,
that
it's
was
when the
like
Southern California passes
Pre-California
were still,
Adventureland too,
Affordable.
and then we
Well,
sort
they
of
used to be
spilled over
affordable.
into
Yeah.
California Adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it's when you go on the storybook rides, kind of are like the oldest. None of them have a third act. It's all just like
No, the Snow White one is the
yeah,
best.
right. It's just like boom.
She throws a
They're
rock
happy
on
now.
you, and then the
Everyone's
end.
happy.
It's so crazy.
I love it. Yes. And there's very creepy. There's something so creepy about all of those.
Right.
Because I know the Snow White ride, they refurbed in like I think the 80s because it was too fucking scary, one. And two, you never see Snow White because you're supposed to be
You're
her.
Snow White.
Yeah.
So you have like you're a kid going through it thinking you're gonna see Snow White, but instead all you see from her perspective is these scary
People
fucking
trying to-
trees and
Right.
the wind is popping out and it's a nightmare. Yes, I love it.
where did you guys shoot that short in VHS? Because it's the last one in VHS, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So
and it's like a big house.
Yeah,
Is
it's
that
a
on
Woodbury
location?
house in
Okay.
Altadena. So just north of Pasadena.
Has other
a
stuff been
cool
filmed there? That sounds like a familiar.
I don't know.
Chad, tell us what else is in there.
There's When Co-eds Attack. Yeah, so Skinamax movies have been shot there and stuff like that. Or, I forget what the names of them are, but yeah.
We
so
were
there have been
scouting it,
other
and Chad
things
was
there.
like, "Hey,
I recognize this.
No comment.
No, but it was a really fun house. The geography of it. One of the things that we loved about it is we didn't have to cheat how weird the geography of it
Oh,
was.
that's
the
interesting.
pathway, the doorway into that attic,
Yeah.
is actually in the back of that bathroom. It's this
Really?
weird.
We didn't cheat anything.
We
You walk
actually
through
were
it in
trying to.
real-
We
Oh,
saw
that's
on.
nice.
We saw online the
We had to go
location
out twice.
photos where there were this great big spooky attic, and we went out the first time and we couldn't find it. Went out the second time and wandered around for 45 minutes and eventually found this door that led up
creepy.
there.
And
So
when
there
we
was
did-
something
We
really
did- we
weird
also
and maze-like.
retrofitted our outline for it too. So when we had the general beats of what we wanted to do for the short, but then we went out and did a walkthrough from room to room to room of where we come into the house and walk through it and just wrote out the treatment that way.
Well, that's where the outline became the
anything,
script.
though.
No,
I mean,
we did.
but it was
Yeah.
like loose.
Yeah.
It was like this.
It was very
these are the sort of
loose.
beats
Right.
that are going to happen.
And that's what we took the outline, went to the house, and then walking through there, that became the script.
Right.
And by
That's
the script, I mean
interesting.
all the dialogue was like, here's the shit we have to hit, but
That's
let's not
kind
do
of
it.
rare, I feel like, in the production process to be able to like, oh, we know where this is going to be shot, and we can like tailor the script to this. I feel like it's usually the other way
Yeah.
around, you know?
And
We
doing
did have
low
a-
budget things, that's the way
Yeah.
you kind of have to do it.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
get the better, you
how
get
we did
production
everything.
value that way. That's what we every short we've ever done.
and
we're
Ready or
like,
Not,
what do we have?
to a certain extent, was built around
Yeah.
existing
In a
locations.
large-
And Devil's Due,
yeah.
we did with the found footage in Devil's Due, going through the house and retrofitting because there's a couple of spots they wanted us to cheat. We're like, no, let's just like we'll
we
play it
actually
for real.
don't know how to have vision. We just go find a place. And then
But when you're working in a format that has to feel real,
Yeah.
right? That you want the audience to be brought into it to that degree. Practical locations, you can just kind of
On a
tell.
budget.
Well, sometimes when you're on a set, things feel the scale feels a little bigger. Like things feel almost too designed.
Yeah,
And for us, it was like, fuck it, let's just find a place that has that sort of texture that.
Yeah.
That's actually
to
a
bring
huge
people
thing
in.
for me is when I know it's a set, when I can tell it's a set, it really takes me out of it
Yeah. Oh,
in a
yeah.
movie because it doesn't feel real. And
Well, especially if you're doing a found footage.
yeah,
I don't know why you would want to use a set for found footage. That might be tough.
Yeah, so with the VHS short and with the rest of VHS, and then with Devil's Due, those are found footage films from 2012 and 2014. Is that
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's like your first, features that you're doing are found footage, probably because of like Paranormal Activity and how big that was, right?
well, it's funny. We sort of had a natural, like our journey into found footage was, it started with a YouTube thing back on YouTube.
Yes.
We did this thing
Yeah.
called Chad Hates Aliens, which was like an alien attacks Chad. And it was the biggest video we had on YouTube. It had like 30 something million views. And so it was
Holy
like,
shit.
whoa, this is neat. And we had fun with it. And we weren't doing it because we were doing found footage. It was genuinely, well, this is the story about some guys fucking with the roommate and they're filming it. So how are we going to do that? And it's like 2007, 2008.
8. Yeah, it came out. Yeah.
And it was just kind of what we did. But then we had so much fun with it. We did 2 more, one of which was Mountain Devil, which got us VHS. So it was like this weird kind of, we were never
It wasn't like a
for or against found footage.
Right.
We were
Yeah.
just kind of like,
Yeah, it was
cool, this is a cool way to
specific
tell a
stories
story.
Right.
worked
exactly.
really well in that
Yeah.
format.
Yeah, and then going into 20th Century Fox for Devil's Due, they were coming off Chronicle, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, this needs to be found footage." We're like, "Does it?" Like,
Oh, so-
yeah.
But we
and
said does it
tried
100 times.
Yeah, we tried.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was.
Interesting. Okay. So that
Yeah,
originally
there was
you
this
didn't want
idea
it to be
no
found okay.
and there's this misconception that found footage is easier to make, that because it looks and feels real and like home video, that you have to that it's easier to tell a story that way. You just sort of put the camera on and like people do a thing, and it's actually it's much harder. You're missing all of the filmmaking tools that you have in a conventional narrative, like close-ups
yeah.
and music cues and and we
And the
I think
camera doing something.
pride ourselves on playing by the
cinematic.
rules.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we think it's at its best when you follow the rules to a certain extent, and obviously in Devil's Due, like we wanted to kind of evolve how the camera worked and how it sort of allows the viewer into the story. But for the most part, like we wanted to be fairly rigid about why the thing is filming, why you're seeing what you're seeing, trying to provide reasons that make the experience feel like it has a certain it's logic proof in some ways, but also still somehow allows you into the emotional experience of it. It's a really weird, tricky tightrope.
Well, half of the conversations we had on Devil's Due were about camera. You
Yeah.
know, which like, well, why are they filming here? Well, how do we get the camera in there? How do you do this? How do you do that? And at a certain point, that just becomes mind-numbing.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I really want to just tell a cool story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
And
got to
I
be
have
exhausting
to have somebody
Yeah.
have a camera
to
and every
justify
fucking
why
thing.
the camera
Yeah,
is
remind
on.
the
And then we
audience
eventually
that they're
have the-
watching something fabricated the whole time instead of just letting them lose themselves.
But then you eventually get the studio note being like, "Well, can we see her eat the meat from like inside the meat cooler?" Or like, all right, well, why would there be a camera
right.
like in the meat cooler in the grocery store?
Yeah, but it's a funny thing too of like for Devil's Due, where for VHS it was very simple. It was like we'll put a camera on Tyler's head. Tyler's camera on his head will be the POV of the whole thing, and we are done.
Great.
And with Devil's Due, because we were very aware that holds up for about 17 minutes, and then you're kind of tired of it. So we had like set our own parameters, and made the choice at the very beginning to be like, this is not quote found footage in terms of footage that was found. It's more, it's the same aesthetic, of course, but it's the idea that, well, let's just use cameras that exist.
Yeah, it wasn't something that was like assembled for evidence of a crime or something.
Like Paranormal Activity is like this is like evidence from a file,
or even
Blair Witch is like
Which we then found though, because those movies are so good and so successful, that even when you take that away, and that's just a negative, so we just don't say anything at the top. It's not like we would never do this, but you almost have to then inform the audience, hey, this is not the thing that you think it's supposed to be.
It's just done in that style.
Right.
So
I'm
then
already
it becomes
not
a weird
interested.
thing. But then it becomes a weird thing where it's like, then the audience, we found that the audience then had trouble understanding why it was put together. And it's no fault of their own. It's because that's how we've been trained to watch it. So it's like this weird evolution. I thought End of watched it great, where it was, they did the same thing, where it's just cameras exist in the world. Yep. We'll just tell a story that way.
But they oddly, I feel like that the sort of genre of that,
it's a different genre,
allowed people. It gave the audience a different set of permissions going into it than the kind of horror. There's a real expectation with, and I even think, look, with the reshoots that we did on Devil's Due, we even added a bit of a framing device. Him sitting in the police station was not originally scripted. That was
That's
like
right,
and it was sort of a nod to wanting there to be something kind of conclusive about it, but at the same time, maybe giving people a bit of a sense of, okay, if you want to go down the path of some of this has been assembled or will be assembled, that there's the kind of classic.
But the other
framing
thing
device
on that we talked about is that we're letting the audience know right off the bat, this is the end of the story, and I'm at the beginning of the story. So this isn't just like an in order kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which
it
logically
didn't quite
makes
work.
But found footage, has its detractors, but I'm a big fan.
I love found footage.
I find that
great.
sometimes
That's awesome.
it can scare me more than like non-found footage, because I'm also someone who like had a camcorder when I was like 10 years old, and so like when people would say Blair Witch made them nauseous, I'm like, what? It's just like footage that you're watching.
Shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Blair Witch is, I think, the scariest horror movie I've ever seen.
It's so good.
So
Holds up so well.
Yeah.
So great.
Yep.
So yeah, when it's done, but it does feel, I'm sure from a production standpoint, it can be very restrictive. Like lighting, do you?
I know I have so many
light
questions
things?
about
And
the technical.
Yeah, we did some lighting on Devil's Due.
you just have to like hide it.
Yeah, you hide it all.
Yeah,
That's so
Use
fascinating.
practicals. Yeah.
A lot of practice.
So then I'm just like, now I'm so excited to ask people who've done it, like how to do all the weird, like little things that I think about. We reviewed all of the Paranormal Activity movies in a row.
Yeah.
And so I'm just
all 6.
So when you have, so obviously you have to build this world where you believe. So like in Devil's Due, you have this main couple, and in a lot of these scenes, it's just the two of them. It is like you're restricted in that normally if you're filming a film, like traditionally you've got like shot, reverse shot, you can hide the director and everyone else on set behind camera out of sight lines, but in a found footage, where are all you guys while you're filming? Like, how do you know a shot went well? How do you know you're getting what you want?
Up there.
Yeah, you'd call cut, and everyone would just sort of spill out of the various rooms.
Oh, that's what the hands
Jason
coming out of the
rooms.
walls are.
Yeah, we're like,
It's just like, okay.
Yeah, that's crew.
Well, with
coming out.
that one, that was us. That was literally just us. VHS was us, and running through the house. Like there was no crew other than us and the characters.
And were all those effects done in post, like the hands and stuff?
They look so cool.
Yeah, the hands look great.
That was all Justin Martinez, who used to be a part of the gang.
Oh, it's so cool. There, when you first see a hand come out, and this is how I know when something really gets me. For some reason, I just instinctively go, "Ew!" I just feel like, "Ugh." And that one I got a big like, "Ugh," it just grossed me out, and that's how I know I'm freaked. That got me.
It's also hiding edits was a big part of both Devil's Due and VHS, is like finding moments to whip into or out of a shot.
Yeah.
Where you can put a little static pop or something. I mean, honest, 1917 is a great example of like these beautifully sort of hidden transitions where the cuts are seamless.
Are you comparing VHS to 1917?
Yeah, it is. It is. I think that it's probably. They're more similar than
Dude,
not.
you're in the right
that's just
place.
the technical exercise of merging, finding ways to kind of hide edits, so it feels like you're never not in the like direct continuity of the story.
Yeah.
And it's also letting the actors, like even on, and this was great working with Fox, which was our first studio thing, and you have all the cliches of what that means, but to their credit, they let us shoot with a fucking like iPhone 4, iPhone 5, I can't quite remember. And then like Zach Guilford, who was the husband in it, I mean, he shot a lot of the movie.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, we had
When
that Sony camera that was small enough for them to carry around.
Like when it comes to casting, that's got to be a consideration of like, can
Big
this
time.
person also hold a camera and like decently frame a shot?
I
And
wonder
Zach has
how
a really
much.
good eye, so it was like,
Yeah. I wonder how much crossover there is between that and I'm not even kidding, like puppeteering. You have to understand like your arm, if you're holding the camera, is a character and just getting that, just doing everything just right.
Well, the blocking is not just about like how you're interacting with somebody. You have this other thing that is very just a technical element to the whole. And there were some scenes too where like one of us would be holding the camera. His hand would be on it to create the feel that like it was never further away than it would
it is like
be if it was in
puppeteering.
his.
Yeah.
But so there were a handful of little cheats
That's
and some
so
body double
interesting.
stuff like
Body
just
double.
like the climbing up into the house
Yeah, that was
because
you.
we can't get a
Yeah.
cast our cast, So there are a handful of moments like that, but for the most part, it's them operating.
This is so inside baseball, but like, how does that work? You like camera union wise? I'm like when you have right.
sorry, I
when
can't
you're-
hear that. I can't hear you.
It's just so because that's so. Like I've worked on studio stuff. Like obviously that's a big,
yeah,
a
where you're
different-
not allowed to move a light.
like, oh,
2
do you need
feet.
help? No, like
Yeah.
and I get it, but I'm so curious how if the rules for that.
I don't actually think
We didn't hire a
know.
DP.
No, well, we had Justin,
had a
our
gaffer.
Justin was listed as DP, right? And we had a gaffer.
But that was credited. I think that was credited after the fact. Justin
was.
didn't get
Right.
into the guild.
No,
he
no.
wasn't
Did
in the
not. No,
600.
it was
We
not
hired a
gilded.
gaffer that was kind of like, I mean, great lighting. Nathan Tape is his name. Great lighting designer, but also like real familiar with camera stuff. And I think that his crew like did some of the camera stuff, but for the most part, it was just us working with the cast. And there was just an understanding that was going to be the case.
right where it's necessary to the project.
Yeah,
maybe
right.
And I think it was because one of the directors was also doing a lot of the camera stuff,
Yeah.
and that supersedes some of the guild stuff in some ways. So there was we sort of
I can't even. Yeah, I remember we had conversations about it. We were not trying to be like sneaky about it. It
Yeah.
was like well, we have to do it this way. How do we let that happen?
I just had that thought and was like, how?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
We also did double dip a little bit because we got camera operator checks, I think, in your name.
Yeah, we
did.
were hired. We hired as
Steel
operators.
trap over here.
So much for trying to skirt by that one.
No, actually, I believe that we lied.
So we had never seen Southbound, and we put that on after watching VHS and Devil's Due, and it was like, oh, it's not found footage. It's I was almost expecting it to be more found footage, but so that's another anthology horror film though, and
A lot of the same filmmakers that were involved in VHS. Brad Miska was one of the producers on that. Dave
Roxanne
Bruckner,
Benjamin.
Roxanne Benjamin directed a segment and was a
Dave
producer
Bruckner.
on it. Yeah.
And Pat
And then-
Horvath was the final. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
the other one.
But we had not. I mean, most of the stuff that we had shot was not found footage. Our most of our YouTube stuff was like action adventure, like comedy that had a genre element. These sort of big choose your own adventure stories. So, and now our desire was always to make like big movies. The kind of movies that we grew up on and we loved watching. That was the goal for us. So Southbound it felt like we had more resources to do the thing that we wanted to do, but it was still like a very run and gun.
Yeah, it wasn't
It was
much
sort of like
different
produced
than
like VHS,
Right.
but
It was
we
actually
had,
a smaller budget than
it was
VHS.
like
Okay.
Yeah, it was
a fairly significant chunk.
yeah about 10%, maybe
Yeah.
20%.
Wow.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's
That's
not like VHS
interesting.
had a
Right.
big budget. No, and that was just we had like after Devil's Due because it didn't perform, and
As
to
they
be
say.
kind. All those cliches are true. Your phone stops ringing, you go to director's jail. It's like,
Oh,
you
geez.
just persona non grata. And so we kind of like, we're banging our heads around of like, okay, cool, but let's just keep our heads down and do what we do and what we love.
Yeah.
And Brad had got in touch with us and had always been in touch with us, being like, I want to do another thing. And so we finally were like, yes, let's just do something. Let's just make sure it's not found footage because we want to try something different. And Brad was like, we'll get Dave and we'll get Roxanne to do one and we'll just get the team together again. What do you guys want to do? So we just kind of soft pitched him what became the kind of idea for Southbound, but not fully fleshed out. More of just like, we want to do a thing that starts at the end, and then at the end, spoiler alert, it's actually the beginning, and it's just a big loop.
And that the characters, how you feel about the characters flips 180 degrees, where you think the guys are victims, and then you realize
Protagonists at the
yeah,
beginning
they're
are the bad
perpetrators
guys.
of something terrible.
But they're still allowing some gray area with that, and we just took that basic idea to Brad. He arranged us for everybody to get together, and then it was a really fun collaborative thing, which we didn't get to do on VHS because we were so late to the game.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was really fun to be like, we went to Roxanne's house every Tuesday.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a
And, like,
writer's room, essentially.
Yeah, it was essentially just
cool.
a bunch of us, and like Chris Harding is one of the producers, and we just all sit in the room and really hone in on like, okay, what is this? Like, okay, let's focus in on the guilt. Let's focus in on like, I mean, one of the things I always remember is we had one meeting that half the time it was Dave just saying like, yeah, but what is it? Like, what's the thing that people just the one line, and we were kind of this, that, the other, and then finally it's just roadside horror. It's just a roadside.
A road through purgatory.
Yeah, road through purgatory.
Yeah.
Make it super simple. And that's when everything kind of really came to life. And then we were shooting it within, I don't know,
quick.
a month.
February, March.
Yeah. But it
Yeah.
was, I think we were all so interested in the experiment of the idea that that everything was interconnected, but that because we were in a world that was by design about the characters' nightmares, that we could all kind of explore our own version of horror. And even the original pitch for the idea was called Subgenre, and Brad Misk originally was like, well, I want to make a thing that like explorers we're able to sort of jump from one horror subgenre to another in the same
that's cool,
anthology. And we
yeah.
were like, yeah, that's a cool idea. How can we build a framing device that allows it to all feel cohesive and connected, but still gives the filmmakers permission to do that.
And that
to,
DNA
to
is
explore
still
a real
in there.
personal
And we-
idea of what
And we
what
also,
fear is.
Yeah, and we also wanted to make sure that we didn't have like resets, hard resets for each segment. So we came up with the idea of zipper transitions, where one segment kind of is like a baton pass to the
Yeah.
next segment. So it wasn't more Creepshow like where you're just stopping and then starting something new. It's like, all right, let's try to see if we could figure out our narrative structure in a way where we could just keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
The entire
And that you're learning
time.
about the place
As
where
you
the
go.
stories
Yeah, 'cause
are
the place is
happening.
the main
that
character.
That's
that
kinda like,
it become the road becomes a character.
I
that
feel like
you're
Trick or
discovering.
Treat.
I was going to say
Exactly.
Trick or
Very
Treat
similar to
does
that.
that.
Trick or Treat did it.
Yeah.
And it was Trick or Treat with more directors.
Right.
But yeah, it was like, obviously Trick or Treat was wonderful and did it really well. And then when we were talking about it too, I think part of the reason, just on a very personal level, we wanted to do it is because of our VHS segment. The only part they made us cut was 15 seconds, 10 seconds
Character intros.
of character intros in the beginning. We had like a little barbecue scene that was just like, meet these people and know how they feel about each other.
Yeah.
And, Brad and Simon were like, guys, we're an hour and a half into this movie already. We're not doing another setup,
Yeah.
which they were very right about. But for us, it was like, let's just fuck it all together. Let's just tell second acts. Like, there's
Drop
no
people
first act,
right
there's
into
no
the
third
middle.
act.
Yeah.
There is some of the barbecue scenes still in there.
There is,
though,
yeah,
right? But
little clips.
Okay, but it was a longer.
was a little bit,
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
Got it. I love the roadside aesthetic, by the way. I love that look, like
Us
nasty
too.
diner trucks. And
All that shit exists
I'm
out in
so-
Wonder Valley.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
where is that? Wonder
It's
Valley.
east of Joshua Tree,
Okay.
east of
Okay.
29 Palms even, and then Amboy is the city, this tiny little
The gas
city on
station.
Route 66. And when tiny, like
Oh,
the
we
only
would've
thing
driven
operating,
through it then.
is the gas
Yeah.
station and a post office. That's it.
Yeah, when we
We
moved
did-
out
we
here,
did the
we
whole-
drove
Oh,
the
66?
2 lane
Yeah.
to
That's awesome.
66.
Through
Yeah,
like
that's
Oatman
great.
area where you have to go
Yeah.
up and
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
I love like
Oh, that's
road
cool.
trip,
Yeah.
roadside. Like
So between
whole-
that, the time loops, like those are stuff we're into.
time
so.
loops, big
and the
fans
cool
of time
looking.
loops.
What are the? Did you? Have
I
a
know,
name for
I
the-
just-
Reapers.
The
Yeah.
Reapers.
They're-
Okay.
okay.
We call them Reapers.
Yeah.
I was really taken aback by them because I think just the order that we watched your stuff in, there wasn't much creature horror, and then you get those guys. I just was not expecting them, and they're so gross. They have like this nervous system hanging out, like
the little-
jellyfish.
I mean, they were supposed to be like straight up Reapers. And then Justin Martinez, who we mentioned earlier, what was it? That the robe was
fabric.
You couldn't do cloth.
fabric.
It was going to take double the time to render them out in
Oh, that's like hair.
Yeah.
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 to make it feel interactive and believable.
Yeah. So he was like, how about this? And
Is that where
it was
most of
much
the
cooler.
budget went? Were the effects?
no, because
Or-
that was Justin just being a lonely genius.
Oh,
Who would
cool.
work alone
Damn.
on his computer to do all of that.
We just start getting shots.
yeah. And sometimes we wouldn't. Guys, it's not happening.
Yeah.
We're like, oh man.
And then I just moved the truck today for street cleaning, so it's still going well.
If anybody wants to buy a truck,
If anybody wants to buy the truck from Southbound, please hit us up.
Southbound money pit.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, it's the truck from Southbound.
It takes up our whole living room.
No, I don't know what the majority of that. Probably just the day costs of just having everyone out there.
Just
Yeah, we
feed
shot
in.
that over how long? 5 days?
5 days.
Ours was
Okay.
5.
And we
yeah.
stayed at the location that we shot in. The weird house in the final segment is
Oh.
where we all slept there. It was like
Terrifying.
legit.
Was it a
Yeah,
house or a
weirdest.
motel? Because it
Big
seemed like a
old
motel.
house.
Airbnb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Where he sees his daughter and
Well, it's
everything?
like a compound. There
Yeah,
were
we just
3
Yeah.
units on this property. All everyone is more haunted than the next. I mean, it's a
Oh,
really,
it's so fun.
yeah. It's a very strange,
Yeah,
lonely
I slept in
little
bunk
location.
beds in the hallway. That
Oh.
was in the final loop.
Oh,
I was
God.
like, oh god, this is a little too much.
I was in the room that Hassie, the daughter, hides in.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like alone. It was like alone. It was like a little
Gets
separated room.
stabbed in.
So yeah, I got time loops, and then you guys are talking about just the weird layout of the house from VHS. I feel like it's the spatial stuff freak you guys out because I get very freaked out by things that are the wrong size and
Right.
things
Don't
that
make
are-
sense. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I'm a big fan of the book House of Leaves. I don't know
Right.
if I
Us
do. Okay, yeah, so
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
I don't know. It's not possible to be filmed.
That's
but
what they
I
said
wanna
about
see
Gerald's
it.
game.
That's
I know.
true.
People
Gerald's
have-
game was very good.
People have had, he was going to do it. I know. Zalewski, and then it.
I want
It's-
it.
Yep.
I would
it's-
love to see a David Lynch House of Leaves.
Oh,
I think
God.
that'd be
Come on.
Yeah,
Christ.
yeah.
Please.
There's no,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be able to recover after
No.
seeing it, but
That's a one of a kind.
yeah.
It feels too like it's one of those things that is like it comes up between us in meetings, people we're talking to creatively all the time. And I feel like it's going to start, it already has on some level, but just seeping into other shit.
Yeah.
And then by the time somebody finally figures out how to make it, everyone's going, I've already seen that.
Yeah.
It's just taking off of the
Yeah.
stuff that was inspired by it.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you feel like Southbound was like a step in the direction that you wanted to go? If after having done a couple of found footage things that maybe you didn't necessarily want to be pigeonholed into?
I mean, on some level,
I wouldn't
especially
even-
the found footage thing.
But I don't know if Southbound necessarily got us out of
Director's
direction
jail.
jail.
Oh, no.
It was more about I think just wanting to go back to a way of making stuff that we didn't need permission to go and do it. With the studio thing, there's so many steps and you have to get approvals from so many people to even just get a check to do a scout. And
that was Devil's Due?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
When before, we would just make 2 phone calls and we'd be in a car
just
together
go do
driving
it.
up to Rosamond to figure out where we're going to go shoot our next thing. And I think we wanted to sort of return to that ethos a little bit. I think we were also kind of freaking out about what do we want to be filming. We're filmmakers.
Yeah.
We got to go make films if we want to call ourselves that, if we want to do that. And Southbound was really just a way to sort of, I think, get sort of re-engaged, get excited again about
and it was
the process.
fun. It was a fun thing too, just on a tonal level. It was something we always had humor to kind of I wouldn't call humor a crutch because we fucking love it. It's our favorite part.
Yeah.
But Southbound is pretty humorless, at least our segment of Southbound. And it, it was I think there was a fun challenge in it to be how can we just tell it you get in the driver's seat and then the story just fucking goes and do it quickly. Our opening segment is 12 minutes.
Yeah, it's short.
Which was by design. It was supposed to be more of a teaser, and then Roxanne's is supposed to be kind of the real opening segment because ours is technically the end of the.
And all our dialogue is what the fuck.
I will say that was a funny
very-
moment. The second
Very a little bit. Yeah. We tried to get it in.
was
but
that
we
a
can't.
body double? Because the camera.
No, that's an
No,
effect.
that's
how? Oh, that was a
That was
invisible
a-
car.
We
Okay.
shot the
Yeah.
car. We shot the car pulling up and driving off, and then
Tyler
I
is
held
miming
the frame
this for
really.
people.
Yeah, yeah.
While I was operating it, it held the frame really still while they drove back
shit.
around,
Wow.
Yeah.
and then brought them.
And it
in
was
a
like
second
handheld
time.
Wow.
or
Yeah,
shoulder
handheld.
all
shoulder mount?
handheld, and then
Wow.
Justin Martinez, our effects guy, just
massaged
merged
it.
things in.
That's amazing
That's
because
so
the
cool.
car's a little bit further away. So I was like, did they get a body double or do something there? But you wrote the previous 3 things that we've
Yes.
discussed, right? So, but not Ready or Not. You came in a little bit later
Yep.
on that, right?
We came in.
I watched a lot of behind the scenes.
Thank you. I always wonder if anybody watches those.
Oh yeah.
We came in. We got it sent to us right after Southbound came out, and then they went with somebody else.
And Southbound was 2015,
2016.
Okay,
yeah, it was like 2015 in TIFF, 2016 in the 12 theaters. But no, and then they sent us, went with somebody else, then came back to us shortly thereafter, and we loved the script because it had what we're talking about, where it's like this, it's really funny. It's got great like scares, great thrills, like good characters.
I remember
love.
I remember getting it sent when it was sent to us the second time. Actually, responding to our reps and being like, you already sent us this.
Is this a
like,
joke?
You didn't get this job.
Yeah, because that doesn't happen.
Because we
Are you
got sent with
taunting
no
us?
context. Like, hey, this is up. This is open again. It was just, hey, read this, and we were like, wait, we read this.
Oh, it wasn't a like.
Yeah,
We are in
and
the
then we
game.
find out that it's open. The job was open again.
Yeah, we met with the producers, Strip and Jamie, and like really vibed, and we met with the writers, and same thing. It was a big love fest. And then when Searchlight got on board, everybody liked the same stuff about it, so it was great. But then Get Out came out, and there was too many similarities because it wasn't a wedding, it wasn't one night. It was more of a meet the family. The family's weird over the course of the weekend.
Oh,
It was like 4 or
that's
5
fascinating.
days.
So the original script, it wasn't a wedding. Okay.
Nope.
Wow.
And then we had like basically what we recently found out was a kill meeting. And then in the room, everybody was just kind of spitballing ideas.
Wait, what's a kill meeting?
like the movie's
The
gonna
studio's
like,
gonna pull the plug.
Yeah. This was
Yeah.
a year into the process with
Oh my
them,
God.
And this is what
where
they had
we
at
were
the
like,
studio at
"Fuck, it's either
Searchlight.
gonna happen or not at this point." And
But you didn't know that until recently.
No, we found that out after it came out.
I think we all felt that a little bit going into the meeting, like, "Oh God, this is."
You feel
Right,
that a
you
little
feel
bit
it.
at every stage, every
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah. It could always be taken away.
Yeah, until it's in the theater.
Yeah.
But it was and so then in that meeting it was like, let's do it just the night of the wedding. Let's make it the wedding. Let's
Poster
put
to
it
be
on-
her with a shotgun.
Poster will be her with a
Just-
shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it really it clicked for everybody.
Nice.
In this way, and then so
And
Guy
were the
Ryan-
original writers still
Yep.
involved?
Yep.
Okay.
They were involved until I think the last changes they sent us were maybe when we still had 5 days left of
Yeah, it
shooting.
was 1 week
wow.
before the
Wow.
end of production. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And I think it's because we were never talking about fucking with the DNA of what it was. You know, they had nailed the tone. Like the characters were interesting, and the scares were great. It was like the pacing was awesome, and those were things that we never wanted to change. Like that was never the debate. It was like make it more of a horror thing, make it more of a comedy thing. It was like no, we've got it's all here. We just need to figure out a new way in so that it feels like it's its own unique thing.
Yeah.
And
Remind
you
me
know,
of their names again, the writers?
Guy Busick and Ryan Christopher Murphy.
Yeah, who play the crossbow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
crossbow
crossbow
guy.
guy.
and they delivered like every step of the way, and right like all the way up to the end of production,
including
They were right.
crossbow videos when
Yeah.
they needed that.
Yeah.
That's so great. I
Really
love
great
hearing
dudes.
when because often you hear like how the writers discarded during production and they're like, that wasn't what I wrote. So that's great.
It was the opposite.
We're very collaborative, if you can't tell.
Yeah.
So like we welcome like all the voices. all the voices into the room, and just definitely leaned on them the entire process when we're like, hey, we need this change because they might do this, or we need these pages condensed into this, and they turned around everything very quickly, and they were fantastic.
Well, and they had an insider-outsider point of view where we could send them things during pre-production where we'd be like, we have to do this because of some. We're not even bore you with why. Some reason that's fucking whatever.
Yeah.
And then they'd be able to flag that doesn't work
The
because of
logic
these
of
things,
it
and you're
all,
like,
yeah.
right, fuck, great, thank you. Cool.
Like
it was really wonderful.
She also
working with
died
them.
at the end of the first script.
Yeah. Just
and that.
Which was this thing where it felt like, oh, this is such a cool risk. I think we were attracted to the feeling of how risky that was, but at the end of the day, it was the one part of the movie. The feeling the audience was going to have leaving the theater was the thing that didn't fit with the rest of the movie, and it was like, fuck, man, like there's something better. We can beat this, and went through 12 versions of how to kill the family at the end, and eventually landed on the one that was the
so
quickest,
good.
the most
Yeah.
surprising, and definitely
We
the most
also
satisfying.
learned our
of the ones
lesson
that
a
we
little bit
brainstormed.
on Devil's Due, because it's like, to us, Devil's Due, there's a lot of really funny shit in it. I know that doesn't feel like a funny movie, but like there's stuff that makes us giggle. And when you have something that's such a dour ending, and you're just like, ugh. It's not as satisfying sometimes, And for the right movie, fantastic, of course.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like on this one, looking back, we've talked about it since, where how did we ever think we were going to pull off the tone of Ready or Not?
Where it's like a fun movie.
A fun fucking movie. And
then kill
oh,
her.
by the way, we're murdering her.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Like, no
Yeah,
way.
where
We
the
would've
rest
lost
of it
everyone.
feels
Right.
like such a revenge thing too, because
Yeah.
it does all feel super allegorical, and I feel like in this moment too, it was like especially satisfying, you know. And it would have been a huge bummer to then just have her die, you know. Yeah.
We also, I mean, we pitched
Agreed.
Searchlight the day after the 2016 election.
Oh, really?
And so I think a lot
Wow.
had sort of shifted just in how we wanted to approach the story, that it was no longer honestly, a lot like Get Out. How the original ending of that was more of a kind of
he gets
Yeah, he
arrested.
gets-
cautionary
yeah.
tale about
Yeah.
what the reality is. And for us, it was like, oh shit, well, we're probably going to be living in an alternate reality over the next few years. So this should be more of a rebel yell, like more of a rallying call, more about resistance and less about like, be careful, bad things could happen.
And once we
more
made
about,
those
fighting
choices
against that shit.
Yeah, and once we made those choices too, it really allowed us to like bring all of the other stuff up to the surface more, so the fun stuff got more fun.
Right.
You know, Sam's character, Grace, got more like dialed in a way that you could really see it. Like, oh, she's on a hero's journey here. This is not some sad thing where she's gonna get murdered, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, knowing that where we're going, we have to now lay track
Yeah.
to earn that ending.
Yeah.
We sort of we're able to amplify
Yeah.
everything. Though we did shoot that shit third day, the explosions.
Oh,
Like
my gosh.
early in production. Yeah.
How was it always going to be? So at the end, we see LaBelle. Was he always gonna? Were you always gonna see him, or was that like an added? I'm so
It
curious.
was in the
Last
script
choice.
because
but
it
yeah.
It's such a
killed
funny.
me. I think I already was like so in love with everything happening, and then he shows up, and I was like, "That's it!" Like I'm obsessed with it because he's so funny.
So glad to hear that.
That's Jamie Vanderbilt,
Yeah,
by the way.
that's the
one of
producer.
our producers.
God,
Yeah, playing
I'm
LaBelle.
obsessed with him and his little outfit. I just wasn't expecting to get to see him, and then him looking like that was so good.
And then the reactions suck.
I think that's my personal favorite of her many fucks
Yes.
that movie.
Yeah.
But the LaBelle thing, it was in the script. We talked about it endlessly throughout the edit. You know, we knew we shot for the opportunity to do it, but then throughout the edit, it was like, we can do it. Is it jumping the shark? Is this too much? And then
And how do you? And if we do it, what effect doesn't feel shitty and
Hokey.
cheap?
Yeah.
It actually
Like-
feels like a piece of the movie.
And
We
we
covered the
tiptoed-
chair like it was a character the entire
Yeah.
entire time.
Oh, okay.
it was
we shot
kind of-
for it for
yeah.
sure, but we tiptoed into it by doing these effects, like what Tyler's talking about. Like, we'll do it subtly. It'll be just the smoke, and then we kind of had this like,
yeah, it was.
and honestly, hearing your reaction is so wonderful because that's what we were hoping for. But we had this moment like within a week of vlogging where we just decided, wait, we just blew up an entire family.
It's real.
Let's go the other end. Instead of
Yeah.
tiptoeing into this, let's go get Jamie dressed up in some costumes we get from the Fox
God.
thing. Make him look like a fucking
Yes.
dandy.
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 It's just so great to be like, yep, it was real. Yep, all these people blew up, and like, yeah, LaBelle's a dude. Like, I don't know what you're expecting. Like, yeah, this was real.
Yeah,
like,
we told you he was a
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
20 minutes
Why
into
are
the
we
movie.
gonna-
Yeah, we've been telling you the whole movie.
In a lot of ways too, like we and sort of reflecting on like Southbound, which is all about questions, like
Right.
leaving the audience with the mystery and trying to put things together. We were like, fuck that. Like, well, let's just do the thing where we give the audience everything. They get an answer to every single thing. You leave the movie without any sort of lingering, was it real or not?
Yeah, we tell you
Right.
nothing in Southbound.
No, and there was a real opportunity to do it, and then it was just about figuring out how to do it so that it felt tonally like it was a part of the same.
I
the
like
same
that
movie.
it's like a fire burst and like that kind of gives
Yeah.
body to it. Was it just him in front of a green screen that you shot?
Yeah, it was
or-
our only additional photography on the movie. We
Okay.
didn't do any reshoots or anything. This
Damn,
was
nice.
we laid in post. We thought, fuck it. We had done a mock-up with a still image
Google.
of an old man, an old like Victorian dandy, and it was like, oh, it was good enough that I think we even
We tested
previewed,
our
we
second-
previewed
our second
with,
preview had it.
with
Yeah.
the yeah,
Ooh.
and it was cool enough that we were like, fuck it, let's just shoot.
When I
Let's
remember
get
that
Jamie-
second preview, nobody really cared one way or the other, it felt like, which for us was enough to be like, cool, this isn't going to...
not gonna
People aren't
ruin
going to go,
things.
oh, what?
yeah.
And then we're like, well, let's go have fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's weird because we're talking about this movie, and then right after this, we're recording another episode where we're talking about the lighthouse, which does kind of where it's like, we're not going to answer any questions and you can deal with it. And I love just seeing like the contrast of both of those things done really well. It's nice. You don't have to prefer one or the other. They both can be done really well. It's awesome.
Sometimes I don't want answers. Sometimes I want all the answers.
Yeah. And as long as the movie does that confidently, whatever it is, then you're on board.
Right. Yeah.
One of my big takeaways from all the behind the scenes stuff was that everyone who, at least all the stuff that wound up in the final product that I watched, said that like the on-set experience was a great time, like really fun, and that you guys were great to work with. Is there anything that you try to do to foster that, or do you just find being yourselves and like being friendly and collaborative is enough to,
Kind of the latter,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, don't go like Oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, you hear about a director or the process where it's like super technical and everyone knows within like a millimeter how to move, how to do their job. And I think for us, it's really about casting people, bringing on department heads who are so much better at what they do than we could ever imagine. Being that you just, then it's your job to just sort of communicate the bullseye and then let them sort of interpret that, and obviously steering it along the way, like saying you're still making choices and saying no to things and yes to things, and this, but do it but really allowing for there to be some freedom to let people bring their own ideas and their own sort of process to
and that you're saying that in regards to both crew and cast,
everything, from top down.
I mean, I like I'm just thinking of Aunt Helene, the aunt with the like she like that, that's hair and makeup came and wardrobe, but what do you guys think? You know what I mean? Like that's one of those choices where we didn't say go make her look like a 30s supervillain,
like a battle.
Yes.
But when they showed her to us like that, it was a unanimous yes, please.
Yeah. It really is interesting talking to people who are directors because I think people even forget like it's a director. Like you are like, you're moving the pieces around and you have an idea of where everything needs to go, but you're not the one doing everything. And that sounds like you guys have such a firm grasp of like, effective directing, like in the literal sense of the word, you know? Yeah.
And priority, I think, is the big thing, like knowing, having made enough stuff on our own, knowing like if we don't have this, it's a problem. If we don't prioritize this specific thing, it's a problem. We don't have it if we don't have this, and just knowing that like there's these variables we can sort of this is fungible. Like there can be multiple versions of this and they're all going to be interesting and cool, but these are like the real key things, the foundation that we have to build the thing on, and making sure that gets communicated as clearly as possible, and then letting there be space for some weird improv, some weird chances, some things that you don't plan on happening, and being really cool and really interesting and really inspiring.
Like
and
Grace
not being
laughing during the explosions,
Yeah.
which we talk about on the commentary. But it's like, I mean, that was just Samara after a take of reacting as if people were exploding.
Yeah.
And then, she was just like, I want to laugh. Like, I feel like I would laugh. And it's like, great. And we have the bandwidth to be like, cool, let's do a couple takes of you laughing, And it's like we're talking about in the commentary where we watched one cut without her laughing and it just was flat, you know? So then you become really grateful for those ideas, and then you start to kind of come to a realization like those are the things that make stuff special. It comes from the collaboration. It's not from my vision.
And especially coming from a background of making your own stuff and doing everything with the YouTube and even the early films, because you also edited your own stuff a bunch. Yeah. And we have the same background, like with the sketches and everything, where you just do everything. You wear every hat. And it must be, that's probably really helpful to know just a little bit about each aspect, and then to be able to like give it to someone who you're probably better at this than me.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
totally.
Yeah, like
it's
I tried.
such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because after you make your own stuff, you begin to recognize your own weaknesses. So to be able to outsource that stuff must be great.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I mean, even for the edit on this, it's like, because we are so used to editing our own stuff. I know we were kind of nervous. We were like, oh, how's this going to be?
Yeah,
Maybe we'll set up a
DP
room
and the editor were ones where we were like, there was a lot of, I think, anxiety internally about how those collaborations were going to work. And they couldn't have gone
couldn't have gone better. We're like, oh my God, wonderful.
And then you just want to work with all those same people
Right,
on
exactly.
everything because it's I mean, you know how it is. It's rare to find where not only do you enjoy working with somebody like as a friend and collaborator, but that you just respect their ideas so much. And yeah, we really hit the jackpot on Ready or Not.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that feeling of just a good time really shines through in the movie. And God, that cast, man,
Oh,
is
that's
Oh,
incredible.
God.
They're
It's
fucking-
so fortunate to have
every
everybody.
single person is
And
so
only a couple
good.
takes for
Yeah.
every. I mean, it was like
Amazing.
we were down to the wire
It was a super
schedule
tight
wise.
shoot.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was 26 days to do all that, and everybody came, and they're just down for the experiment, you know. And especially, it started early in that first week when we opened with working with Andy McDowell, who's like the biggest movie star we've ever worked with. And the very first scene we do is her and Grace fighting, and Grace smashing her face in with the juicing box. We're like, all right, cool. So everybody is now on board for this ride, and like let's go for it. And then doing the explosions that first week, when we're like, do you trust us enough to throw this blood and stuff at you? And then everyone we broke for lunch, and everybody could go, and we had like one explosion left to do, and we're all like running around set, making sure everything was okay, and standing at the monitors, and just turned around and looked back, and everybody's just there watching the monitors.
Like they could have left, but they stuck
could have left,
around.
and they stuck around. We're like, all right, cool, we're good right now. We got everybody on board, and we have the right people because they want what's best for the project, and they want to be involved, and we're like, we couldn't be happier with everyone.
Yeah, and there's something to be said for like putting people through the ringer so quickly, where it's like, oh, you're all
Right.
just hanging out. This is your professional adult job, and you're all just hanging out covered in fucking blood.
Blood and pieces. Yeah.
But it's like that's what's so fun about horror is it asks you to play make believe on a crazy level.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, you get to do really wild shit.
Well, it's like that thing that people always ask, like, oh, is it scary on set? And no, it's the exact opposite. After every single take, everyone starts laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to, when I first started working on films, I started in art departments, and I remember talking to people who had worked on horror, and they're like, it's the best. Like, it's the best office environment because it's the art department. You've got body parts everywhere. And it's just, it's great. Everyone's having a great time.
So
yeah.
silly.
Yeah.
When
Aw.
we had, do you guys remember this when we met Galaxy? Galaxy did makeup on Southbound, and she comes in, doesn't know us, has like 2 minutes of kind of testing the water. She's like, so I could show you some of my stuff, or I could show you like the stuff I'm really interested in. That's good. And then she just breaks open this book of like body parts and
injuries.
fucking the
Yeah.
most
It's, like,
disgusting shit you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, she collects books about like old murders.
Yeah.
Yes.
crime
I've
scene
talked to so
photos.
many
Yes.
makeup
Yeah.
people who do that. Yeah.
Dude, horror makeup artists have to be able to look at the most real gruesome shit to,
To recreate it.
Yeah.
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 I remember about in Southbound talking about we didn't know what the Irish smile was or what the term was, and she was pitching us like the
Oh yeah.
for
Yeah.
your
Joker
death
kind of thing.
and I've never seen a more excited human being.
Yeah.
Galaxy explaining the anatomy of an Irish smile.
I do want to ask, how'd you feel about the marketing for Ready or Not? Because were you good with
but
it?
wait, go finish it. I don't
Okay.
want to know.
Yeah.
Because I like obviously I fucking love the movie, but I do feel like the trailer gave away a lot, like a lot of
Yeah.
the jokes and stuff. Luckily not the ending,
Yeah.
which
Right.
still took me by complete surprise. But
That's a trick, though. I think that we actually are really pleased with the marketing in the sense that they marketed the movie that we made.
sure,
We've had the opposite experience.
But that's always the challenge: is how much do you give the audience, and how much do you have to sell and confidently sell that this is what this thing is, and it's going to feel a little weird, but check it out. Like it's all going to work together. You're in good hands. And I mean, I think that we probably, in hindsight, would agree that like, yeah, the trailer probably shows a little bit too much,
yeah.
but it also got people.
Right.
It got people
people
out,
there.
and at the end of the day, like
Yeah.
it's kind of the
And
job.
it was
of
definitely
the-
hard giving away the crossbow in the trailer.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
like the one kill that we're like, oh, wow. But it also is the kill that encapsulates the entire tone of the movie. And
Sure,
one thing. So it's
the
like, it kinda
accidental
gets
going
both.
off of it.
I mean, one of the things I always think about though when we have this discussion is like all of my favorite movies I've seen 100 times. So I've seen the longest trailer possible because I've seen the movie. So at a certain point, I think on the creative side, you have to take a step back and just say, all right, that's going to happen. And the bummer is, like the crossbow, you won't have that experience in a theater because people have already fucking seen it. But if the movie works and it's good and it kind of finds like a following, so people will watch it in say 5 years or 10 years, they already know what the movie is.
Right.
Yeah.
They've probably seen it.
And if the movie's
So-
got to be better than, at least as good as those parts, and hopefully better than the parts
Yeah.
that you've already seen, which at the end of the day, you just cross your fingers and hope that, people that they're even still surprised, despite the fact that they've seen some of those gags, have been sold some of those gags, that the context of when those things happen is far more interesting and elevates it than seeing a little, a quick, 3-second pop of
and if you get lucky, it's like, I watch Die Hard every, few months. It's never not entertaining, even though I know exactly what's going to happen.
Right.
Exactly. So kind of a confidence in the product of like it's good enough to
Or like
withstand
a
that.
I don't know if confidence is
Well, I'm sure after you watched like the final cut, you probably felt like you had something
Still want to
special
change
on
a dozen
your hands,
things.
right?
Yeah.
always.
I don't know. I think that you're never
sure?
No, yeah. I don't, because you hear about movies that are, now considered some of the greatest of all time that got laughed at their their premieres, and people walked out of, and now they're these huge sort of iconic cultural touchstones.
Cats.
Yeah, I was gonna say such as cats.
Yeah. So listen to on the Marin podcast when Brad Pitt's talking about like
Fight Club
being one of those.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Seven. Yeah.
And Seven being another one where people were just like, they would not program Seven. Nobody had any idea
The Seven
what
thing
it
is
was.
mind-boggling.
Right.
Fight Club I get because it's a very unique thing and it's for you. But Seven, I'm like, this is as good as a thriller could ever be.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anything,
What's
it's too
the, like-
effective. It's doing its job too well.
Yeah.
Did you at Midsummer Scream? Did you guys?
I was just
go
gonna
there?
ask that. Did
No.
you?
Were
not-
Were you
not
aware of the installation
experience?
for your film?
Only when Ryan, the writer,
Who lives
texted
down
us,
there, right?
who lives in Long
Yeah.
Beach, and he was like,
In the experience.
he was in
Oh,
the
he's really?
experience.
Yeah.
We're like, what?
Because
I hadn't watched the trailer or anything, so I went to go because I was like, I just don't want to know anything about it. So we went and did the experience, and we go in there. It's pitch black. I'm being chased around, and that fucking song, the hide and seek song, is playing. I'm like,
really?
what is
Yeah, it was playing.
wow.
People, like you have like little
There's
things
people
that they have to
chasing you.
grab off of your waist to
Oh,
like
it
get you
sounds
out.
And they're
Yeah.
wearing
Flag, hide and
the
seek.
Yeah,
masks
exactly.
that where they're like, oh no, it was the 80s.
Oh, really?
Lots of
Really?
cocaine. They had
Gosh,
those on, and they're chasing you around. And
Yeah, it was
like
a
out of
lot of
context,
fun.
it's like I don't know what the.
It's so
wild.
it's all of this like merch gets made and all these like little experiences happen on the marketing side that we are never aware of until
so
you like see a poster.
Yeah.
Well,
The
my parents-
t-shirts,
film in there,
the
but-
t-shirts that they were
The
selling down there.
T-shirts, yeah. We
Yeah.
even ordered our own Blu-rays off Amazon. we're like, we can't even get the notes. We're like, come on.
Oh man.
My parents live up in the Bay Area, and they saw something at this little like game shop in Berkeley. There was like a Ready or Not night that they were putting on. That obviously the studio had. We have no idea.
Yeah.
Nobody told us. And my parents once stopped by and got a free shirt. And, and they're like,
God.
Was it the
Wedding-
shirt with the weapons
Yep.
on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have
we
that
have
shirt
that.
hanging up in my
Awesome.
closet.
really?
They did all
Yeah.
the cakes too. Remember, because they had like
Yeah.
the little events when they had like
yeah.
these wedding cakes with like a knife in it, and we're like, where are these cakes?
Yeah.
It's so
Who
funny
are they
because
sending these
I
to?
know that so many people who like aren't in the film industry just assume the directors do everything, like down to like the
Yeah.
trailers and the marketing.
Right.
But obviously, it was
No.
the studio's marketing department or the film's marketing doing that stuff.
I think with a longer runway to the release, we probably would have like been more aware of that
Exactly.
stuff. But there was, 3 months. They had 3 months
Yeah.
to market the movie before
Yeah.
it released in theaters. So it was this full court press from the second we finished. We locked the edit. It was like, okay, we're just gonna throw all of these crazy ideas into the marketplace and see what's
it was fun to watch. It was fun. It's kind of fun. Finding
being
stuff
surprised
naturally. Being
After
like,
the fact,
what is
yeah.
this? I had
Yeah.
no idea. Like,
There's even we got invited to do it, and we can't because we have other plans that day. But this Saturday, which will unfortunately be after we publish this video, but this Saturday, a friend of ours invited us to this like charity fundraiser where they're playing basically Dungeons and Dragons, but it is a like role playing Ready or Not inspired thing. So we got asked to be
no
on
shit.
it. Yeah, so I'll
Wow.
send you like after
Yeah.
I'll send you guys the info if you want to
Oh,
like.
that's
'cause I think they're
awesome.
streaming it. So
That's cool.
We,
Wow.
one of the
Yeah.
I
one
was
of
like,
the
what a
missed-
coincidence. Yeah.
One of the missed opportunities we think is actually being able to build like a tabletop game that's based on the movie.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Our original
That'd be so cool.
art that we made for the lookbook when we were pitching Ready or Not, we built a board game. We sort of kit bashed like a Monopoly board, but we put all the sort of iconography of the movie in clip art on this Monopoly board, and I would still love somebody to make a version of the
fun.
Ready or
I know
Not
all
board
those
game.
board games that were on
Yes.
display. I was like, I
Yes.
want to play those.
I know.
Like we're big game fans. We have stacks
Yeah.
of them over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you guys have anything in the works right now, or are you still just like riding off the high of Ready or Not?
Well, we're ready to get to
Yeah,
work.
we-
That's for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
No, we got a handful of things. We got a couple really fun writing projects that we're working on, and a movie with Universal with Lord and Miller that
Oh, cool.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
that will
Nice.
hopefully get
But
moving with some momentum here soon.
And it's written by Samara, who played Grace. It's written by her husband.
Oh,
Jimmy
Totally
Ward.
serendipitous.
Oh, cool. Is she involved?
Not at this point, no.
Okay.
He did not write a role for her. So we could talk to Jimmy about that.
it's so awesome seeing her career as just like
She's wonderful.
Yeah.
She's
great.
Nice to have like a bona fide new like
Yeah.
scream queen. The term is hit or miss, but just like someone who's so talented and good and funny and is willing to do a bunch of horror movies.
She's so good.
She's deserving of every bit
Everything.
of praise.
Yeah,
that she's
yeah,
getting.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we've already talked about how bummed we're going to be for any movie we make that she's not in. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, well,
Yeah.
She was there for 26 days and is doing 90% of that
Yeah.
that physical stunt work.
She's in like
It's
almost
yeah.
every scene.
every
put her
Yeah.
through. Yeah, really put her through it. And the only time she was, I ever heard that she was sore was after the goat pit, because she was climbing with one hand up
Yeah.
that ladder, and she was like, "Man, my arm is sore today."
yeah.
She's a fucking trooper.
Well, yeah, it's been great. And in case anyone didn't know, when I made the Ready or Not kill count and it got like copyright claimed, I can't believe that you like
That was so crazy.
that was mind blowing that you like saw that.
We love
and-
Kill Count. And it was like that thing that we saw you were doing it. And I just remember checking, like, oh, is it out yet? I want to watch. And then saw that. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And we are not social media guys. Like, we have a Twitter account that we had not used for years.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's see. I guess we'll step back into Twitter for a moment.
Oh my god.
We
I
also
was
having
getting
come from
catfished for a second.
and coming from YouTube, like we've been there, where you just want to
Yes.
release something that you
So
love and you're
frustrating.
proud of, and then there's some weird like bullshit red tape. And that's,
Yeah, man. It's
there's
like I did all
nothing
the
more
work
aggravating than
and
that.
now it's held up by things out of my control. It's
Yeah.
it's rough.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you guys. That was
Yeah,
so cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. And again, I everything I said in that video was before we ever communicated directly, so I wasn't just like praising my friends' work or something.
We have friends that don't praise our work. So.
Hey, you need those. You
Oh, yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
need
Oh,
those.
yeah. We also have each other to not praise each other's work.
Well, man, it's been so awesome. having
Yeah,
you
this
guys
is
Yeah,
on.
No,
this
guys,
is
thank
so
you so
great.
much
Having
for
us.
having us
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you.
and for watching everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Of course, yeah. I mean, getting stuff made is its own thing, and I hope that one day we're able to make something ourselves that's not just like YouTube videos. Because
I know. I have so many ideas, and it's just like, yeah.
help me get over the imposter syndrome that's always present. You know,
Yeah, never.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
never goes away.
Yeah.
Well, we'll line up, man. We'll be first in line
Yeah.
for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah. Is there anything else to just say here or end it? I hate ending podcasts.
Nope. I think I'm good.
Just hard cut, like
Yeah,
in
just-
the middle of this line.
And we're done. Yeah. Thanks a lot for
Yeah.
joining us, Chad.
Yeah, thanks,
Matt,
guys.
I was
Tyler.
gonna say, like, you guys have social, but you guys like already just said, like, we don't.
We have
really
them. We
do
just don't use them.
it. Yeah.
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 Search our names and you'll find us, and you'll find vacant accounts that have like a few pictures of like cats and dogs.
Right.
Cool.
That's good enough.
Yeah. I'll take it.
Cool.
right, guys.
So yeah, we'll do a movie next week. But until next time, I'm James.
I'm Chelsea. I think next week is gonna be Ghoulies.
Oh sure. All right. Yeah. And this
Maybe?
is Chad, Matt, and Tyler from Radio Silence. Amazing guys.
Awesome.
And this has been the Dead Meat Podcast.